I'm pretty sure if I say the word pleasure, your mind is automatically going to go to sex. If it did, it's okay. Don't worry. There's nothing wrong with you. Actually, a lot of people that I talk to, when I ask them what they think of pleasure, they immediately go to sex. So that's why I'm here today to help you understand that there is a difference between pleasure and sex can be pleasurable, but not always. So, my name is Natasha. I am a clinical sexologist, a licensed sex therapist, as well as a pleasure strategist. And I want to give you all the gems about pleasure and how you can have it on a day to day basis without it needing to be in the bedroom. Okay. Now, before we get started, let's break down what pleasure is because I'm a definition girly and I want you to understand what it is that we're talking about. A lot of times, I think we just take the definition that someone gives us and we don't do our due diligence to make sure that we know what we're talking about when we're using words. So that's why it's become very important for me when I'm working with my clients to break down definitions so that we're talking about the same thing. So, the definition of pleasure really is feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. Now, if you go a little lower when you look it up, you will then see that there is a sexual component. But at the very beginning, it really is just talking about one living a satisfied life that they enjoy. So you can see now how that definition doesn't necessarily need to include sex. Now, pleasure activates a lot of things in that reward system part of your brain. So, we're talking endorphins, we're talking about dopamine, everything that really makes you just, oh, yes, I want more of this. And I want to kind of break down the different areas of pleasure. So, we have our tangible pleasures and we have our intangible pleasures. So, the tangible pleasures is maybe eating an amazing piece of fruit. I love pineapple, especially a really sweet piece of pineapple. That gives me pure pleasure. Maybe it's hugging someone and the hug just feels so good and it just like lights up that reward center in your brain. And also just going outside and enjoying a sunny day. I will tell you there, I'm a shoe girl for all of my shoe people out there. And I bought these pair of shoes. There were some black thigh-high boots with gold chains in the front. And when I slipped my foot in that shoe, baby, it was pure pleasure. It activated everything within me and I was in love. So I want you to start paying attention to some of these tangible pleasures that you have in your life because the more you keep track of the pleasures, the more you can return back to them when you're not feeling so great. Now, intangible. So think about meeting a goal, you to-do list, a to-do list girly. So if you go to your to-do list and you've noticed that, oh my gosh, I'm knocked out all 5 things on my to-do list, scratch, 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 that gives you a sense of pleasure that you've accomplished your goal. Or feeling loved, knowing that your child or your pet or your friend or the people at your job really love you can give you a sense of pleasure. Being in their presence can give you a sense of pleasure. So where there may not be like a physical touch to it, you can still feel it. Now let's kind of go down the rabbit hole of common sources of pleasure. You have your self-care and relaxation. I know you've probably heard self-care this, self-care that, rest, relax, all of those. So let's go down the rabbit hole of common sources of pleasure. First, we're going to do self care and relaxation. I know for you, self care is probably a buzzword and you think that it means all of these expensive things, but it really doesn't. So, when we're talking about pleasure, think about a bubble bath. Just sitting for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes in a bubble bath with some good music playing in the background. The lights are dim, you have the favorite essential oils in there, and maybe you're reading a book, maybe you're just chilling, okay? That is a real good source of pleasure, especially after a really hard day. Or maybe you're meditating. Maybe you're allowing your brain to just cut off for 5 to 10 minutes throughout your meditation and really sitting with yourself and asking yourself, what more do I need? Okay. Reading a good book. I have gotten into reading fantasy again, things that aren't business development or personal development, just reading just to escape into a story, which we'll talk about. Which we'll talk about the difference between pleasure and escapism a little ways away. Which we will talk about pleasure and escapism in another video. But a really good book can distract you and bring you pleasure reading the plots and wondering what's going to happen next. We also have creative. You can also find pleasure in creative activities. Painting, writing, dancing, or even playing music. Social connections, spending time with friends, family, loved ones, having those really good conversations, or doing group activities together, or having a really good belly aching laugh with someone. Those are also common ways to give you a source of pleasure. And let's not forget about physical activity. So you've got your sports, you've got your yoga, you've got your hiking, you've got walking outside, you've got running. Those are also elements that not only bring you pleasure, but also help you feel good in your body and get your body moving. Now, I don't want you to. Now, do understand there is sexual pleasure, and I want you to acknowledge that sex should be pleasurable for you. What I have found with a lot of my clients when they come to me, the struggle is the pleasure part. The physical intimacy is not giving them what they want. But a lot of times it's because all of those other sources of pleasure that I told you about, the self care, the being with people that you love, being able to give yourself creative outlets, they haven't cultivated that in their lives. So, because they haven't cultivated basic pleasure, the foundational things, when they go into the bedroom to be physically intimate, they don't know what it is, right? They don't know what they want. And a lot of times, we're people pleasers. So, people pleasers are constantly trying to give and give and give, and they have a hard time receiving because there is this guilt and this shame about making it all about me. And again, that's another video for another day. But I want you to understand that there can be amazing, amazing physical and emotional aspects to intimate pleasure, as far as like falling in love with someone and having this deep feeling of desire and intimacy and vulnerability with someone. And I want you to understand that you deserve those types of pleasure as well. However, when someone says the word pleasure, I don't want you to automatically go to that. There's, as we've talked about, so many other ways that you could be experiencing pleasure. I want you to broaden your perspective. I want you to understand that pleasure, one, is your birthright. Two, it is something that you can give yourself. And the more that you're out here exploring, the more that you're out here getting to know yourself, the more that you're aware of what you like, the easier it is for you to communicate those things with other people, so that when you are with someone that you love and you want to be physically intimate with them, you can let them know what it is that you like. Because sex doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins way out of that. And if you don't have someone that's able to please you on a day-to-day basis, if you don't know how to please yourself on a day-to-day basis, you're going to have a struggle. And these non-sexual pleasures are just as important as the physical things that are going on. I never want you to think that the only way that pleasure is due to you is by being with someone, and that it has to be in a physical context. And again, do not judge yourself. Give yourself grace if that is something that you've always thought, because we really have been taught it. I don't think that there's really anything out here as we're growing up saying, hey, this is what pleasure is. This is how you can get it. No, we always think of it in a sense of physical with someone else. That's just how the media and society gives us the message and reinforces us being tunnel vision and having this narrow view about what pleasure is. So I hope that this video was helpful for you, that you now have different things that you can go and execute today to start experiencing more pleasure in your life. I would love to hear about maybe what's one thing that you're going to do today or one thing that you're going to explore this week about your pleasure and how you want to get to know yourself some more. And I hope that this was very helpful for you. I hope that you have a better understanding of the definition of pleasure, what it is and what it isn't, and all the different ways that you can start having that pleasure today on your own. I hope you understand that there is so much out here for you to experience that is going to help you feel satisfied, that's going to help you feel joy in your life, and that it doesn't have to be because of some external factor. It doesn't have to be because someone else gave it to you or that it's a physical component to it as well. I would absolutely love for you to drop in the comments one thing that you may do, whether it's a tangible or intangible pleasure, so that I can support you and root you on. And if you loved this video, I highly, and if you like this video, I would love for you to subscribe so that you can get notification when more videos come, and share this with a friend, because I think we could all probably do well with having a little bit more knowledge about pleasure. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope that this is everything that you wanted it to be. Comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.